point to whoever, whenever, and however you want to handle it. It's all
Okay.
up to you, sir.
Okay.
Right,
Go
you
ahead.
just said if you're in the school board, you can't be in a classroom, why not? Isn't the school board a part-time position?
It's a part-time position, but you can't work for the school district and also be on the school board. Because technically, you're kind of like the,
It's a conflict of interest.
there you go, it's a
Okay.
conflict of interest. Yep. Yes.
You mentioned something before about, you didn't, I might have gotten this wrong, but did you or did you not say that you didn't like the idea of the public schools being in competition with charter schools?
No, that's not what I said. No.
I'm sorry, that's what we heard.
Okay, I apologize. No. No. What I'm saying is that, and if I said it, here's what I meant about it. Every public school needs to be the school that I want to send my kid to. So every public school needs to be the school that I want to send my kids to. And it's just that simple. So it's our job to make sure that charter schools can't compete with our public schools. And what do I mean when I say that? That the education that's going on in Wyoming Park Elementary, in Evergreen Elementary, in Ward Highlands, in Osceola, in Dunellen Elementary is so incredible that a parent wouldn't even want to send their kids to a charter school.
Oh, okay.
That is what I'm trying to say. So, and with that said, here's the deal. I'm going to be real. Here's the deal. When it comes down to charter schools, a lot of times, not in Marion County, but a lot of times, some charter schools are designed for profit. Simple. Simple. And I tell you how, I know I am, I'm gonna say how I feel. Our public schools, if there's an issue with our public schools, they are accountable straight to the voters in Marion County. If you don't like how I'm doing my job, if I have the honor to get on school board, vote me out.
How would a charter school get their funding if they can't make a profit?
We should not. A charter school, just like public school, cannot make profits, and we have non-for-profit organizations. I don't mind them having funding, but you should not be trying to profitize off our kids.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying.
They're out to make a profit.
And that's my deal with charter schools. That's my deal with them. And
Right down to their lunch.
We fund them as taxpayers.
and that's the deal with charter schools.
I'm sorry, what was that?
We fund them as taxpayers.
I agree.
And that's my deal. And here's what's going on. Let me just tell you what's going on. We got these things called PICO funds, right? Our Florida legislature, in their great wisdom, decides that public schools get $40 million. Charter schools get $120 million. Public schools educate 90% of students. Charter schools educate about 10% of students. That is almost $40 per student in public school, but for charter school it's $450. And that is my issue. If you want to fund them, fund them at least equitably, at least on the same levels. You cannot give them more money, give them less regulations, and then sit there and say they're doing better. You have these mandated tests, this ridiculous restriction on our superintendent, on our school boards, on our teacher at public schools, but then in charter schools, like, well, they don't need that on charter schools. If it's good for them, it's good for 90% of the students. And that is my issue with charter schools. If we were playing on the same playing field, I wouldn't have an issue. I spent a half a year at a charter school.
By the way, that's your platform.
Right there. Okay, my bad. And I get passionate about this, man.
Nobody,
I love it.
most of the people in this room did not know what you just said until you said it. Am I right?
Yeah, no, thank you for clearing it up.
Yes.
I got a two-part question. The
Okay.
first part's really quick.
Okay.
I just gotta do it to clarify the question.
Mhm.
In the beginning, you were talking about the roles that you fulfilled in your teaching,
Mhm.
and one had something to do with emotionally damaged children.
Okay.
You used the word emotion,
Mhm.
so can you tell what that is exactly? Just a short answer.
So my primary is that I'm an educator of what we call emotional behavior disability kids. These are kids that we have clarified through a process that have a disability that relates to their emotional behavior that interfere with their academics in school. So what I do is that when these kids have such a hard time in the regular classroom setting, they come to my class, and though I have other kids in there, and my job is to give them the social skill support that they need, the behavior support that they need, with the hopes that they can integrate back in the regular classroom. And I have to say, 99% of the time, that's what we do.
So basically, they have behavioral problems.
Yes, there you go. Yeah.
Okay, well, this is my question now,
Okay.
really. I guess I receive that as kids that have emotional behavior problems also have emotional damage in their lives.
That can be the issue, yes.
And so I think that is on the increase, and I think kids today are being emotionally damaged, even young adults. Our society is damaging emotionally people. I don't call it mental behavior anymore, I call it emotionally damaged people. How do you feel about that, and do you see the increase of that? Am I making sense?
You are. I would say, that one thing I will always say that as, I'm not a psychologist or anything like that. So I believe whatever the mental health professionals said that whatever kid in my class will have, a lot of times they don't have any necessary mental issue, that they are just emotionally damaged. To be for real, and off the school board thing is, as a Christian, I believe that we need to get back to God.
Amen.
That's what we need to do. Now, at the same time, as an educator, there are Christian principles that I can't maybe directly say as God, but I can live by example. I could teach them how to have confidence in themselves of who they are. My confidence lies, I know who I am because I know who's in me. That's me. But I can teach them that. I can teach them how to treat their fellow man. I can show them love regardless. I can show them that Christian love regardless of what they do in my classroom each and every day. At the same time, I can show them consequences too at the same time. So I do think if we have better support with counseling, and my mom being a middle school counselor, if she can actually spend time counseling kids and not scheduling kids or dealing with everything else but counseling, which part of it is funding, she got to have multiple hats. If she can actually use her degree to counsel kids, I think we can really help a lot of kids. And also, the parents must be involved. Did I call you? Go ahead. I'm gonna go get everybody.
You've been in the classroom for 8 years now, and you probably remember that the state decided, it was a good idea, the state decided to go ahead and have all the teachers, elementary, middle, and high school teachers, take a basic proficiency exam.
Mhm.
Now, at that point, and I think this was, 6, 7 years ago?
It's been there for a while. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah. And 30% of the teachers in the state of Florida could not pass this basic proficiency exam. Has that improved?
Okay. So each teacher has to take several teacher exams, no matter what subject you teach. You take a professional one, take a general education one, and I'm assuming the general education is the basic proficiency exam. When I take these exams, I pay $200 for it.
You take what?
I pay $200 to take this exam. To be a teacher, I pay $200 to take an exam.
Mm-hmm.
That if I fail, I pay $210 to retake the exam. And when I took that, I passed it. I passed it the first time. I'm actually that weird kid who loves taking tests. Give me a test, I take it. At the same time, not every person is a test taker. And I'm not sure if I would classify a test that could be possibly based on Common Core standards now, because they change it, as a basic proficiency test anymore. Has it gotten better? Yes. At the same time, we have a severe teacher shortage in this country, in this state, in this county. I can tell you, I've been to teachers at Evergreen Elementary School that are fantastic in their classroom 2, 3 years ago, when I was behavior support out there. In their classroom, great teachers. Knew a teacher for a while, not a good test taker. Just not a good test taker.
How'd they get through college?
Well, college, hopefully college is not just tests. Hopefully it's writing, it's projects, it's different things.
Now, the only reason I'm mentioning it because these things don't match up.
I get it. I think what it is, I truly believe that the test may not be appropriate for the profession a lot of times.
Okay.
You get,
How do you feel about union involvement with
okay.
education? I guess it's not involved with charter schools,
Mhm.
but is with public school, right?
And this is what I would tell you about it.
And how do you feel about it?
I feel I'm pro. And here's why I'm pro. Public education, the employee is the government. I don't think I will sit here and tell you that big government has have the interest of the little person ever.
Right.
So, I'm gonna tell you as a teacher, not only am I pro-union, I'm very active involved in the union. Because if we who are, maybe have different opinions on something, if I don't put my voice into that, it's gonna keep on going away from where we need to be at. But I'm very pro-union for this right here. As an educator, and I can tell you I had a recent story and then I also represent good educators, of a student who can accuse a teacher of God knows what. And if it wasn't for a union saying, well, okay, that may be true, and if it is, get that teacher out the classroom. But if it's not, let's make sure. And when you hear the story at the end of the day, the kid's like, oh, she went down and was tying my shoe. Wait, what? But if we didn't have this protection here, we would have a good teacher outside the classroom because of a story that's not quite investigated off the top. That's one reason why. And another reason why is that I think what we forget locally, the union is teachers. It's not this grand, the union is a union for working teachers. It's a bunch of teachers getting together and saying, hey, I can have a louder voice together to say, hey, that's not good for my kids in the classroom. But in Florida, as a teacher, I can lose my job at the end of the year for no reason at all. That's just it.
Is it strictly an annual contract?
It's strictly annual contract for any new teacher. So here's the deal. When I feel something is wrong, I can't stand up against it because I'm afraid that I can be highly effective and effective. You can be highly effective on this flawed evaluation system. You could be highly effective on it, and your principal could still say, bye, have a nice day. So the union get to go there and say, wait, let's pause for a minute. You evaluate the teacher, and you said the teacher was highly effective, but he's not a fit for your school? And that's my issue when it comes down to it. So I may not agree with everything, but I do think the union is standing up against our politicians who have lost their way when it comes down to educating the kids in Florida.
Tyranny.
Yes.
I'm going back a little bit of time, so hopefully it's changed, but I've seen, when I had a kid, I've seen the union though protecting a terrible teacher. And we had that instance, and it was basically because it don't matter how bad the teacher is, we can't even get rid of it. Now, that is a reverse of what you're talking about. I just wonder, has that changed then?
I'm gonna tell you this right now. Government is very good at when they don't go through the process. I'm gonna tell you as a union person, I can tell you the contract right now has, if a teacher's bad, do this, this, and this. You can write that teacher up, but this is what happens.
Can you speak louder, please?
Okay, so this is what happens. They don't go through the steps to write that teacher up, to remediate that teacher, and then when something happens, they wanna go, oh, well, we can't do nothing. And we're like, actually, if you would've went through the process, we could have a bad teacher out. But what goes on, there's a lot of cases where good teachers get railroaded. And here's the deal, we have a Fourth Amendment. Due process is something that we got to allow. Now, if the teacher is not doing the right thing, I promise you this, you will not have one union official in Marion County, or really in the state of Florida, that will stand against that, because that makes us all look bad. That's the deal.
So it's changed a lot then.
And research shows this. Places with stronger unions actually do have a correlation of better education because the administrators have an incentive to get rid of those bad teachers sooner and to keep quality teachers.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I'm gonna come at you. Can I? Yes.
What is your saying on suspending a child from school, especially in view of the fact that we have so many single parent homes?
You can ask any of my parents, any of the administrators and administration. I will almost fight against suspending a child generally. The reason why I feel, because how is that solving the issue? A lot of kids that get suspended are the kids that I need in my classroom every day to get education. A lot of kids that suspended are the kids that don't come to school in the first place. I don't need to help them out. What we have to do is making sure we have social skills training in school, that we have counseling services in school, that we have community involvement with the parents. Those things are going to work. And how about this? Can I get you to come to school and see how your kids behave in my classroom? How about you come to school? Because your kid need to be here. Then I want you to come to school and observe your kid for a little bit. You know? So, but I do think teachers must be able to have order in their classroom.
Oh, absolutely. But what about in-school suspension rather than letting them all to watch TV?
I am fine with in-school suspension. We have to look at every kid and see what works for that kid.
What is in-school suspension?
It is a classroom where the kid would get all their work and do it,
Back
supposedly.
in the dark ages, they called it detention.
We don't,
Okay, there
They
you
don't
go.
actually leave the premises.
Right.
No.
we don't have that when we're growing up.
No.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah, so
they're
I
not
think
doing
you
that
have to
now.
look at the kids, because some kids will love to go to in-school suspension instead. And some kids go there and do nothing at all. It's like a free fall. Some kids go there and work really hard. You have to look at each kid motivation and see what works with kids. But of course, I do feel teachers should have control of their classroom,
Right.
order in their classroom, and then we need to give the kid the support to behave. And if they don't, we need to give them a meaningful consequence, not just a cookie cutter consequence. Yes,
That's not an answer.
I like it overall. I mean, what's not an answer? When it comes out of in-school suspension?
Yeah, well, suspending a child so that they don't come to school versus in-school suspension.
Which one I prefer out of those two choices?
Yeah,
I think there's more choices, but if I had to pick out of those two choices, it's gonna be in-school suspension, because I want kids in schools. So, unless the kid is just a danger to.
no, I'm not
this-
talking about that type of child.
Okay, so I would always lean towards in-school suspension.
You had a question earlier you answered about having armed resource officers on campus.
Yes.
How do you feel about teachers being armed?
How do I feel about teachers being armed? I think I am especially qualified to answer this answer as being a teacher. I think it's two parts. The question is, should I have to worry about the safety of my kids in school? And that's becoming the issue. I shouldn't have to even worry about being armed if we do what's right for our kids' safety in the first place, where I stand on that.
Well,
So,
I'm a mental health expert, and you're not going to stop
So-
folks coming towards the school who may have nothing to do with the school, whose intent is to shoot it up and become a name.
that's true, but,
So you're not just dealing with your school children, you're dealing with
okay,
the world around you.
that's true, but the majority of school shooting is school children.
Let me
Like,
kind of question
Well,
both ways.
I don't know that the majority have been, do you know what I mean? And there's been, yes, there has been, however, I'm not sure statistically if you go back into all of them. I mean, some of them are more glamorized than others, if there's a large portion.
I have looked into it, and I don't know the exact statistic on top of my head, but the majority of kids that
Students or children.
that shoot up schools have a connection to that school.
But you don't think it would be a deterrent if somebody knows, a student knows, an ex-student, a current student, whatever they may be, affiliated with the school? You don't think it would be a deterrent?
I do think it would be a deterrent.
If they knew, there may be some teachers in the school that are armed, not knowing whom it might be.
I
Like
think
our
it would be
air
a
marshals.
deterrence.
Same idea.
I do think it would be a deterrence, but like our air marshals, they are properly trained
Yes.
officers. So I think it would be a deterrent. I'm sorry, I am afraid, because as I love union, I love it. I have seen some cases, a couple cases, not many, where teachers are just like, ooh, man, yeah, you need to go. So I'm afraid that in some of those cases, that it's just not safe for kids or the students. So to be for real, I am pro Second Amendment. I have nothing against that.
Sure.
When it comes down to teacher carrying weapons or any not trained officer carrying weapons, I really have to get,
So your point is more, you worry about, you're not that confident that a teacher may have the same expertise
yes,
as a armed officer who you're obviously gonna assume, quite rightly,
Yes.
that they would have that proficient expertise.
Yes.
Thank you.
Let me throw out a thought that works both ways.
Mhm.
First of all, I write a lot of editorials on this subject, so
Mhm.
anyhow, those people that come in killing, they're cowards,
Agree.
okay? Just the idea
Agree.
that they think someone in that school is armed and has a gun, that will slow down the get back, he wants to go to a school that would not have the gun, so to speak.
Yep.
You never let anybody know who would have the gun,
Mhm.
and you've got people, I'm one of them, have concealed permits, teachers have it. If he's trained, but I'm even veterans, they know how to use a gun. We know how to use a gun, we don't use it. The thing is concealed, you would never know who has it, but just the idea that they know somebody's got it, that would work some. I don't mean
It would be a
15,
deterrent.
you don't need 10, 15 of them. You didn't even have one in a school. But they don't know how many are in a school, you see what I'm saying? But you should still have an official, I'm for that official armed person there, and I think that's just passed in Florida, I think.
It did just pass in Florida.
Would that be posted outside each school?
And so, my
They don't
deal
read
is,
signs.
my deal is, my deal is still is, why can't the person armed be a law enforcement officer? So I'm wondering, and that's the deal, like you got to really prove to me that, and a law enforcement officer bring protection, but they bring mentorship to the school, they bring relationships with the community that kids wouldn't all of a sudden have. So that's my deal, like I personally don't have necessarily a issue with it, but I think we're doing a false equivalence. Why can't we have law enforcement at our school? Why can't we provide these things?
Because they don't have a job.
His
The
issue,
only thing happens in the park was those folks didn't do their job.
And
Now they're trying to
you're right.
reinvent the wheel.
You're right, but one thing I will not do is, and you are totally right, I do not judge all law enforcement based on the actions of one law enforcement officer that did a horrible, terrible action. But as I said before, I do think Marion County has some great law enforcement officers.
Yes.
Yes, in the back.
Thank you. There's a statistic flying around from the 1950s to about July.
Can you speak louder, please?
There's a statistic going around from about
1950.
July, or 1950 to July of 2016, that 98.4% of school shootings happen in gun-free zones. And I think this is where we're getting lost in this with trying to arm people in the schools. If we don't address this issue of gun-free zones, then how are we gonna move forward? And this bill that passed in the Florida House.
You said of all school shootings was done in gun-free zones?
No, I just wanna ask you,
No,
what
stop.
is your stance on?
98% of them were done at
It's shooting.
gun-free
Well,
zones.
shooting spree,
Well, I mean,
free zone.
Wait, so not school shootings, just shootings in general was done in gun-free zones. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, basically.
So not just school shootings.
Not
School,
just-
okay, because I'm like, well, schools are gun-free zones. That makes sense. But question one more time, if I can make sure I'm actually answering your question.
Put it in general terms,
Uh-huh.
what is your stance on gun-free zones?
So when it comes down, I'm running for, well, my stance on gun-free zones is that if it's a private business, the private business can determine whatever they want for their private business. It's not government job to go in and tell a private business what to do. After running for school board, I think for right now, because my research, I haven't done research, and just like somebody got on President Trump for him saying that, hey, I didn't get all the research before I answered. They told me he took too long to answer. I could come here and give you some type of political answer that I know you want to hear, or I could tell you how I feel.
That's what you want.
I don't have the research yet, and I like to be well educated on it. Right now, my stance for public safety at school as a teacher is that we need to put school resource officers on campus.
Yeah.
And as of now, because I know the research shows that that's works, that's the person that should have a gun for now. Now, I do know, and I am looking into it, of other states that have teachers having weapons. So I'm looking into that, but I haven't done enough research to tell that. And I'm gonna tell you, I don't trust Florida politicians to come up with a good program right now without research. I'm just telling you the truth on that. Yes.
I understand, and I want to help clarify your point. You put a gun in someone's hand that isn't trained, you create a George Zimmerman. You make their head grow so big that they're too much power, and that happens with a lot of teachers. Look at the
Occasionally.
coaches, some of the coaches get a little powerful over the kids because they're competitive.
And that's the
So,
deal.
I get your point, but we're not talking about throwing a gun in every teacher's hand. We're talking, I don't.
Qualified people.
Qualified, and taking those qualified people and training them privately, and then putting them in.
Both in training and emotionally.
We have sheriff's departments around the country right now volunteering to train qualified
Okay.
teachers.
And I do know that, and the program that just passed is going to go through the sheriff's department. I'm fine, military personnel carrying weapons, things like that on campus. I know some states that have that does allow former military personnel to carry weapons on campus. So I'm fine with people that are trained to do it. But
Right.
I need to see a training program that will allow school employees to still do their job and not worried about, I teach in middle school and a lot of kids are bigger than me. So they might not know that I have a weapon. At the same time, I'm telling you, some of these kids will do stuff just to kind of check and see. So it's always, I'm concerned about safety, and at the same time, we can train people at school after we get our school resource officers. Yes.
The new bill, 7026.
7026. It does.
It's gonna be the sheriff of each county's responsibility, not the school superintendent.
Yep.
It's the sheriff of each county.
You are totally right.
Determine what schools are armed and how they're done. It's not the superintendent. That bill specifically puts the authority there. I think the other thing people don't understand, you may know this, but how many of our total schools have school resource officers?
Middle and high school.
Yeah,
So middle and
not
high.
all of them.
And not all of them, you're right.
None of them.
All of
Excuse
high-
me.
all of high
18
school.
schools, 18 schools out of,
Have a good one.
I think 57 schools we have have resource officers.
And
Now,
that's
think
my,
about the cost. I know we shouldn't think about cost, but think about where is the money gonna come from? If you put a school resource officer in every school in this county.
We have to do it anyway.
and here's the question. Have we thought about ways to institute that? See, and that's what I hear sometimes, where's the cost? But nobody actually sit down and say, okay, let's see what we can do about it.
People.
Yes, go ahead. Wait.
Let me
Go ahead, finish.
The other thing, I was with 6 teachers last week. 4 of those 6 teachers said.
I think I'll go
they
so
could
we get
name
on the
at least
road.
10 teachers they wouldn't want to have done.
I believe it.
Huh.
And that's your point.
That's his point.
That's your point.
That's his
No, people keep worrying about the cost. Where's the money coming from?
Well, I'm not
You know,
worried
people-
about it.
wait a minute, people keep forgetting, Florida does not have a state income tax. Massachusetts and New York, from where Diane and I are from, do.
We
You
don't
have-
want one though.
I'm sorry?
We do not want a state income.
No,
tax.
I'm saying, so we can have the state tax, we can have the tax,
No, we
the
do
sales
not.
tax. We can increase the sales tax, even a couple more pennies.
Yes,
Most
sir.
of us in here because we
Yes.
don't like state tax. Exactly.
No state
Speaking
income
about-
tax.
I'm sorry, go ahead, I
agree.
can't hear you.
I
Go
agree.
ahead.
This
Increase the sales tax.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
This legislation
Huh?
presently, I heard the figure was $400 million that was gonna be allocated, and I.
Well, but
also
for
in
mental
this-
health, a lot of it's mental health. I think it's 67 million is going towards the marching program of teachers, and I think a lot of it is going towards mental health resources for school. So the whole bill costs that much, but that's not all going to just training teachers.
Right, I don't know how it's going
You know what I wish they.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, look at this one. Every teacher is armed. There's, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. These
Well,
programs. these
every woman
programs-
serves in the military too, so
And
it's a totally different.
have
So-
different
Yeah,
concepts.
but let me tell you something I tell you.
But, there are all these programs out there that can be looked at and used as.
And that's my deal, let's look
programs.
at them, let's just not have a knee-jerk decision-making. Like, let's
What
look
I'd
at
love to see happen, I guarantee it works, I'm one of them.
Mhm.
There's enough in this county, veterans,
Oh, you're right.
that would volunteer some of their time to spend some time to go to a school, so many days, 1 day, 2 days a month or something. I guarantee you, that you
guarantee
got
it too.
veterans that would do it, and you know how much it would cost the county?
Nothing.
Nothing, I guarantee you.
And I would
that's the deal.
volunteer to do it in a second.
What I want us to do is to hold our elected official accountable to school safety. And that's what, I don't want them to have some type of cop-out, like we do this. No, do the right thing for our kids. And That's what frustrates me about our elected officials. But thank you. I appreciate your time. If you want to talk to me individually, I'd be more than happy to. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Prophet.
Stan, what do you think about putting a couple national